walking out of this probably.
Yeah,
Are they getting
much
into
anymore.
like the
He probably
retail
did already
enforcement
years ago.
stuff?
They
There's
are.
people
We
that
actually
do, right?
we have one full
Because I
time.
don't think
Yeah,
you
he
can go in on your
not
own.
even
Put it-
Yeah, that's fair.
He
doesn't go for himself.
to handle
But when I
some.
He
saw
does
it,
just
they
for
Right now,
do
it's
himself.
Somerset,
He
and
doesn't
one
sell
town
them.
in Essex, we're looking to have a few more.
He sells
Okay.
them for flowers and
Actually,
chili
the
rice,
offer
and he doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't think they're doing it. They haven't done corn for a couple of years.
But yeah, I
Corn
think
is
it's
always
really
big.
interesting.
This is why redundant
And
bankers
they're,
are
right in the middle of the house.
I don't think they're doing tomatoes,
Planning stuff.
Right.
Not all my
Pretty much the girls are doing it now.
Building has all the comments around.
Jump the gun.
And
Good.
it makes sense
So-
that it would happen.
Yeah, 46.
Is that possible?
But the locals backing up with funds.
When you go in,
Makes it
I
really
know
easy
you probably
to
don't know anything about QuickBooks, but this
get
is just what they
involved.
say.
Yeah.
That if
Otherwise,
I
I mean, and we
upgrade
started
my
the regional
service to
code
a
stuff.
higher level, all of my.
Good evening, everybody. It's 6:30 in Readfield, Maine. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you for joining us for our regularly scheduled meeting, May 18th, 26. First thing we have tonight is 26094, the minutes of our select board meeting from April 27th.
I was here, I wasn't absent, as it says in the minutes.
Oh, we have a
Oops.
correction. We'll blame,
Catch that. No, I'm sorry.
so we'll,
Did you
we'll
correct
blame
the
Mel.
minutes after me? Is that what's in here?
Yes, it
Okay.
is after what I corrected that you told me.
Sorry, Rebecca, I missed that too.
well, we had a couple of, weren't we trying to vote and we were going back and forth on who had to abstain? That was, I'll give you that.
From the
was-
meeting before.
From the meeting, so that's your out.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the added notation that Rebecca was present.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, 26095, warrants 45 through 46.
That's me. Big things were $7,195 to Adept Screen Printing. I'm assuming that's for all the game shirts for rec. $371,618.11, the RSU payment. $52,147.13 to Scott Horn, which $40,851.13. I think that was the last payment on the winter maintenance.
Last one.
And then the other was I forgot exactly what the rest of it was, some work around town. And then it's 1,500 to Cushion Construction. I think that was a little grinding piece, that test batch that we did. Was that-
Cushion, I do remember Cushion. That might have been repair to Ratmill Hill Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it was. We had a mud hole open up down the bottom. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And the rest was just normal business as usual. Nothing too exciting. Of course, after you take the 371,000 out, nothing's exciting.
I'll make a motion to approve warrants 45 and 46 in the amount of $482,675.37.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you, Dave, for doing that review.
And we are now at
Didn't drop the ball this time.
That isn't what I was implying.
next we're on to communications. So select board communications. Does anybody have anything of note to report out on?
Just that we're going to talk about news from the transfer station tonight, so I won't say anything about that.
So those of you in the audience, be suspenseful. It's exciting.
The suspense is building.
It's the
Dun,
hype.
dun, dun,
Just
dun.
calm down, Melissa. Anything else, anybody? All right. Staff communication, town manager and treasurer reports.
All right, I'll start off with town manager. Sean, you'd be proud. I took 6 weeks of reports and put it into 1 page.
Wow.
You're lucky it's been budget season because.
I love it.
But all right, so I'll start off with administration. I just mentioned that Mel Struck is doing very well with her collection clerk training and deputy clerk training. And she's a really good fit for the position. She has fun in the office. People enjoy seeing her, and that's exactly what we wanted. She fits in well, so that's really good news. We have our summer maintenance and beach hiring taken care of as well. We are still looking for transfer station staff, full or part-time. At this point, I would prefer full-time, but we're still looking. So if anybody has any leads or knows anybody that needs some work, we've got it.
Eric,
yeah.
did somebody leave?
Yes, so one of our part-time staff went from 2 days a week down to one, and it's challenging to make up that difference because we have such a tight structure right now.
Thanks.
So an extra part-time would help, but I'd really like to get the stability of full-time, if that helps any. Our late April staff meeting went very well. I want to thank Jaren again for presenting on the use of Google Workspace. And then we did have active shooter training, which was, I thought it was going to be more difficult or more challenging, but it actually wasn't too bad. There was some value in it. So.
And who did that for us?
It was through Maine Municipal Association as a member benefit. They hired a consultant to go around, and he's a former police chief regionally, and so it was a good focused presentation from them. So
Thanks.
yeah, the videos were, but the message was there.
I don't know if we want them to be that good.
Community services and programs, we did, and I've noted this in a prior meeting, but I wanted to put it in my official report that we received news in mid-April that the Land and Water Conservation Fund project funding for the Fairgrounds Community Park was approved. So that's a total of $739,932, 50% coming from them. We have our 50% match, but that's still close to $370,000 from the federal government to help pay for that project. So that's very good. And since that time, we've been working. We had a good fundraising meeting last week. I've started with the project management and getting all the documents together to track expenses and income and all that. And so I want to thank everyone who attended the volunteer appreciation brunch as well. The live stream for the Readfield radio is available. It's we were actually able to use a Google site, which is available through our Google platform, to do that because we were having trouble with our own. But I did put in a redirect, so if people just go to readfieldmaine.gov/radio, it'll bring them right to the site. So that's continuing to improve. And then we had a great meeting with Winthrop Ambulance Service in early May. They really finally got the message that we were paying a lot for a service that really wasn't on par with what other communities were getting. And they did take that back and did some work on it. And that's up for discussion tonight. It's going to cost us more, but I guess I'm in the camp of being willing to pay a little bit more if we actually get the service that we ought to. And it would be a shared cost. Moving on to roads, maintenance, and infrastructure, ditching and culvert work began on Chase and Thundercastle a few weeks ago, and it should be complete by in the next couple of weeks coming up. It's all weather dependent. We had to have a few delays because of the weather, but really it hasn't been a bad run. We do have a closing coming up on May 20th. That's this Wednesday. Tentatively 7 to 3. Hopefully it's open before then. But basically it's right at Mountain View Lane. So just beyond that, we're going to dig a big hole in the ground and put in a culvert. And you'll still be able to get to pretty much every place on the road. You just have to come in from one end or the other. There's no through traffic. So that's the key message I wanted to put out there. We've communicated that to the bus garage, also to Winthrop Dispatch. So Matt's been very helpful in making sure that we have that information out. We also mailed a letter to the residents on the road about the work that was going to happen. So Matt's been really good about staying on top of the communication piece. New DEP permitting program is in place, and it's an online one. So I was able to get a bunch of permit things for like the fairgrounds and Torcy Pond and all that put up there, and it makes it easier for us to track and manage those and pay any fees that we have. Road grading is complete, including minor should be just one line, not two bullets, but including minor road repairs. And sweeping is on the schedule, but not for a few more weeks. We keep getting pushed out a little bit more every year. But this is the last year of our contract with this company, Ellis Construction. And we'll be going out to bid. We're hoping to find someone that can be a little bit more prompt. But we'll see. And then technology and communications, the file migration to the from M Drive to Google is complete. Backups are in place for document security, so everything is over there. We've been working through some of the challenges, things like trying to figure out how to use PDFs online and off, and also the file structure has been a real challenge. Google's really good at search, not so good at saving things where you want them. You have to kind of go around in circles, but trade-offs, and overall, I'm really happy we went to the cloud. I'm still not convinced about Google, but we're there, and it's working, and we're finding efficiencies. One example is the calendar function. We were able to get that in place, and we're using it for out of office for staff, and it's already been helpful because I don't have to go outside and look on the wall and try to remember what's there. I can check whenever I need to, and anybody else can too. Also for reservations, we now can avoid double booking, which we've had happen in the past. So good features when we find a way to use them appropriately. And then last is transfer station. Edward, Karen, and I attended the MRRA Solid Waste Conference in April, and I was able to speak on facility operations. So again, I want to thank the Select Board for sending our transfer station staff to these types of trainings. Really valuable for them, and I appreciate the opportunity to have professional development by speaking and presenting on occasion at these things. So all very good. The improvements to the gravel pad at the brush area are holding up well. That took a little bit of time. We had a down period, but fortunately the weather was pretty lousy, so we didn't really have a lot of demand. But that wet weather proved how much we needed to have that new gravel down there, and it's settling in nice. And then the town of Mount Vernon expressed interest in participating as a partner community at the town of Readfield transfer station. That's an interesting opportunity for us, but we do need to approach it with a lot of due diligence. Catherine's very excited to talk about it. So am I. But I wanted to make sure that even though we're in the very early stages of this, I want the board and the community to know that we're having this discussion. I don't want us to be in a situation where 2 months from now something comes up and everybody says, well, we never heard about it. I don't want that. So we're being very upfront about that process. And then the last thing I have is the May Solid Waste and Recycling meeting. It was a very good meeting. We had great discussion. The other thing that I want the board to be aware of that we're talking about, and Catherine will talk about it too as well, I expect, is the possibility of Readfield buying in as a member owner of EcoMaine, which is the facility in Southern Maine that we're now a member of. We pay them member fees, but for the first time in about 25 or 30 years, they're offering people the chance to contribute some money and be part of their organization, which has lots of benefits, but we're not going to talk about those tonight in any great detail. I just want you to know that that's something that we're looking at, and the Solid Waste Committee felt we should be investigating, as do I. So that's my town manager's report, Sean.
Very succinct. Does anyone have any questions, Jaren?
More of a mission. I didn't see anything in there about a heat pump for the back room.
No, that has not happened.
Okay.
So,
But it's quite due very soon, right?
Point taken. Yes.
Thank you.
Did our last heat pump come from Dave's Electric?
It can't. Yeah, from the place in Winthrop. Yes. Yep.
I thought they came, didn't Dave Morrow put them in?
Dave Morrow did the installation for the electricity supply for them, which we have to consider as well, because you can't just plug them in. You have to have dedicated lines. So we would have to do something similar, but operationally, it can happen. The holdup, I think, has been time, and also wanting to see if there was a way to get some of those incentives that we got on these that paid for most of them. At this point, timing-wise, that wouldn't be a possibility. But we could certainly still make it happen. So.
worst case, can we put a little AC unit in there for the summer just to get it by?
We could try to figure that out. We'd have to do some modifications. The windows are lower in that area and they've got steel grates in front of them. So we'd have to be creative, but I think we could. Yeah.
Could we maybe get a commitment that you'll contact Dave's this week?
I absolutely can, yeah.
Does that work?
Makes me happy.
Okay, me too.
And hopefully
and-
Bill happy.
Right.
We
Well,
want
and
to keep Bill happy.
they may
absolutely.
be a couple months out, which puts us into the heat of summer, so.
Well, so then the AC would probably be the best short-term option.
They
But
do
I'll
have-
look at that as well.
They do have the portable ones that you can just put the vent out the window. They're standalone in the room.
Mm.
If
Last
that
time
would
we
work,
talked
I
about-
actually have one I could donate.
Last time I talked to Dave,
Pretty
it was only a
cheap.
couple of weeks ago.
Oh, good. That works.
Great. Eric, treasurer's report, please.
Yes. So the check, this covers the month of April. This is a late meeting in the month of May. That's why we kind of have a lot of buildup on things. But anyway, the next the check reconciliation is complete and there were no issues observed. With respect to the budget, the last thing we really have is the meeting on Wednesday evening. 6:30 here, it'll be a joint budget committee select board meeting to discuss the final budget. There is no opportunity for amendment or changes. It's just discussing and presenting what's been presented and discussed before in a different way. The audit, we have made some corrections to the FY25 audit and we expect a presentation in June. Again, it's dragging on longer than we wanted, but we did get the primary information early on. So at least we had that. Investments, we had 3 CDRs totaling $1.26 million mature in early April. And those were rolled forward into 6-month CDRs with an APY between 3.25 and 3.7. So actually a little bit better than what we had projected, but it's not a good thing, and I'll talk about that later. Interest rates are holding higher because of inflation and economic uncertainty, which might help us with our investments, but hurt us more in other areas when we start paying for things like asphalt. Comments on this report. The revenues and expenses should be around 83%. Real estate payments are up dramatically. Down for the month. So we saw a major drop. It was actually, real estate payments were 48% less than this month last year. In part, I think that's just because of the weather, but I think part of it is economics. We're still holding okay, but we really aren't quite where we ought to be. So I think that people are slipping a little bit on their payments. And that's hard to see. Motor vehicle revenues are also down for the month and continue to be slipping for the year to date. So we had a good start to the year, but things are really slowing down. And I think that trend's going to continue through the summer unless things change geopolitically. And even then, it's going to take till the fall probably for things to start cleaning up and changing. But anything could happen at any time. This is just the trend that we're seeing, is the slowdowns in revenue. The one exception will be the transfer station. We are continuing to see receipts up there, but in total, the year to date, we're down 13% for the month, and then up less than expected for the year to date. So we're just not where we want to be with receipts, but that's the economics of it. We can't change that. And then I just would want to say that expenses, on a positive note, are remaining within budget in most cases. So our conservative budgeting is paying off, and we haven't felt the full impacts yet on that side of things. But right now they're holding steady.
So I have a question,
Yeah.
or maybe it's just a statement. The fiscal year to date, we are ahead of where we were last year by almost 5%. So maybe it's just that our tax payments came in earlier. So it's a different monthly trend versus total trend.
Yeah, we should be up year to date about 6 or 7% though, because of the actual cost of services went up by more than what we're ahead by. So we actually, even though it looks like we're up, we're actually down. We're just not collecting what we should be.
But we're not that far down.
Not that far down.
Right.
No, no.
5 to 7 is not too far. It's not a 48% drop. That's just a monthly thing.
That's a monthly thing, and that was
Right.
just on that one
Right.
month. Yes. Yeah.
On a different note, but the same subject, because it just made me think of it. Did we resolve the last few foreclosure issues we had with?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
We were able to avoid any kind of action. So
Good.
that's what we want to see.
Great
All
work.
right.
Any other questions for Eric in his treasury report?
One last note is I did include the CDAR's schedule
Yeah.
for you, so you could see exactly what was happening and where we are. And we are on target for this year's FY26 revenues. And we're looking to see an increase next year just because of volume and turnover. But again, we budgeted 70,000. I'm projecting 75, but that's a long way out. So
It's still a good use of money instead of sitting in a sweep account.
absolutely, and we're doing well. We do have that the flexibility of having the ICS account, which is like a checking account that pays almost what you would get out of a CDARS, and that's really nice because it gives us a landing spot to collect money that might otherwise just be sitting in a 0.5% checking account, which is a really bad use of funds, as you know.
Thank you, Eric. Next up, we have the community services updates. I see Melissa. Would you like to go first? Yes.
Right, so Melissa Small, and I'm the library director at Readfield Community Library. Happy to present this quarterly update to the select board and to town residents. I just came today and I'll be attending tomorrow the annual Maine Library Association Conference, which is always a great time to connect with library colleagues around the state. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity. For those of you who've not heard, which I'm sure most of you have, but I just want to take a moment to announce and congratulate the Library Board of Trustees Chair, Jackie Druin, who was recently honored as a recipient of the 2026 Spirit of America Award. So thank you, Jackie, for your volunteer service to our community, and thank you to the town staff for honoring Jackie and all town volunteers, including many library volunteers, at the special event in April. So every April, I submit an annual report of statistics for the previous fiscal year to the Maine State Library, and the data from our library and other libraries across the state are compiled and then submitted to Institute of Museum and Library Services, which then compiles library data on the national level. And Jackie, our board chair, has taken the highlights of my report and has submitted them to the town for the annual report. But I'd like to just take a few minutes to review a few things that of note for, now this is for fiscal year 25, so July 24 through June 25. So it's obviously a little bit outdated at this point, but this is how we report. So there were two notable decreases of numbers from the previous fiscal year 24. One of them was the total number of new library cards issued. We generally go between 50 and 100 per year. The previous year was 91 and this year was 77. Not really sure why that is, but the other number that went down was the number of interlibrary loans processed in that fiscal year. So we generally go around 600 to 700, and this past year was 370. And I think that was largely due to the fact that our van delivery service was interrupted for several months during that particular fiscal year. So we couldn't deliver, or we couldn't receive any incoming loans. So lots of numbers increased, which is always exciting on my end, particularly the couple years coming out of COVID, things were very slow to start increasing back to normal, quote unquote. So The number of items that walked out our door, and these are physical items, so mostly books, but also magazines, DVDs, and audio CDs. We're closing in on close to 10,000 in a fiscal year, so we were at 9,949 items, which was up about 20 items from the previous year. The number of cloud library materials, so those are ebooks and audiobooks that people access through their phones or tablets. That was an increase from 1,900 to 2,100 from the previous year. So that is getting lots of use. That's a service that we pay about $500 a year for to the Maine State Library, or Maine InfoNet it's called. And so that is heavily used in our town. The number of patron visits to the library was, we also saw an increase. So there were 7,252 people who walked in our doors in the fiscal year 25, and that was up about 300 people from the previous year. Some use of our public computers for patrons. So the previous year was 60, we went up to 73 in the year. And then we offered 205 programs in fiscal year 25, which was an increase from the previous year. And the total attendance at library programs was 3,119 people, also an increase of about 100 from the previous year. So those are just a few stats from fiscal year 25. We continue to have our great story time on Tuesdays, which moves to our amazing Readfield Beach in mid-June. And we love allowing the families to attend our story time and then enjoy our wonderful beach property for swimming or just playing and hanging out with other families in the summer. We have monthly book groups and weekly stitching groups that continue to meet also through the summer. And the last couple months I've seen some fun special events. A couple highlights. One was also a Readfield U event that we did at the library. It was a 5-week learn to knit class with resident knitter extraordinaire Sue Cook, which was fabulous. We collaborated with Readfield Elementary School art teacher Nicole Blake again this year to feature Readfield Elementary School students' artwork in our story walk for Youth Art Month, which was in March. We co-hosted with Readfield Rec our second puzzle race and pizza event, which was again a huge success. So the winning team from our first event came with t-shirts that they had made. Their team name was Peace, P-I-E-C-E, out, Peace Out. And they won again. And it was fabulous. So we had 11 teams of 4 racing to compete the same 500-piece puzzle. Thanks to Ray and Readfield Family Market for the pizza. And we borrowed the puzzles from Bodenham Public Library. We also did a board game fun event with Age Friendly that was right here in this room, as was the puzzle event. And it was full with people of all ages playing fun board games together. Also in this room, we had Andy Walsh do a Pacific Crest Trail presentation, which was fabulous. He had walked the trail many years ago, lots of great pictures, and compared them to a recent completion trip that he did of the trail, which was really interesting. We had our second annual Tiny Art Show, where people of any age could take a 4x4 art canvas and either work on it in the library, take it home. We had over 50 people work on that this year, including 14 adults, so it wasn't just all kids. That was really fabulous. Cammie Davidson over at the gallery hosted our show's opening, and then it came over and hung at the library for the rest of April. National Library Week saw a library open house, and local musician Kathleen Jameson gave us a morning of guitar music and singing, which was fabulous. In April, we had a Medicare 101 class with Spectrum Generations. We had 7 people come for that, and we plan to offer it again in September, right before Medicare open enrollment in October. Healthy Communities of the capital area offered a program for parents called Meaningful Meal Times, using conversation to support your child, which highlighted research and resources related to family meals. We had a 7th annual poetry stroll for National Poetry Month, our 3rd annual Star Wars night with over 50 people, which was fabulous. And we got to see Brian Henderson, local creator, share his life-size R2D2, which was so fun. Kids made a lot of cool droids from pieces and parts, wood and metal and glue guns. And Bicycle Coalition of Maine came and offered a fix-a-bike workshop for teens and adults. We've done that about 5 years now. And we had our first ever Learn to Play Mahjong workshop just this last week, which filled right up. We've filled all 3 card tables with people, and they learned that fun game. So looking towards summer, we're starting to welcome back some summer residents. I think I've seen 4 of them now so far in the library, and we look forward to our exciting summer reading program with the theme of Plant a Seed, Read for kids, teens, and adults, and lots of cool summer events, including our author talks, family fun carnival with Readfield Rec, book sale, and the very popular Frogtown Mountain Puppeteers for the 3rd year. We continue to offer the vehicle pass for the Maine State Parks, which is year-round, donated by a local family, and the Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens pass, which is good for 2 adults and 10 kids, and that's supported by the Friends of the Readfield Community Library. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Is the puppet show during Heritage Days?
It is, they are not available on Heritage Days weekend. They're coming the Sunday before. So it'll be that week, but they're at a special puppetry event up in Canada every other year.
Right, so hopefully Jen can get the advertising put together with Heritage Days so that if people are looking for it, they'll realize it's a week earlier.
Yeah, we've
'Cause
talked about that. So
That
I
was a
think,
huge
yeah,
event.
yeah. And Ken
Everybody
still
loved it.
has agreed to allow us to use the Performing Arts Center again, which is fabulous. It's a good space for it.
It's great that our library is used by so many people. And maybe new memberships are down because so many people already belong.
Already know, who knows?
I mean, you've got 7,000 people coming in and out of your library. We're just a little town. That's
Yeah, I have to say, I'm pretty excited. I went to a workshop today on kids events, and this was a town of about 9,000, and they were talking about themed events, kind of like our Star Wars Day, where they'll have about 75 kids come. And I thought, well, you know, we're 2,500 people, and we had over 50 at the Star Wars event, so that's pretty good. So,
That's great.
yeah.
Thank you, Melissa.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I did get an email from the Age Friendly who said that their messenger report this month was a great summary of what their activities are. And Jen is available because she had a very long day today and is going to be doing a school chaperone for 3 days starting tomorrow. So
She's great.
better her.
And she is she's volunteering as a mom to chaperone kids from Tanglewood to a meet at Telstar and back. So I don't know if you know where Tanglewood is, but it's in Lincolnville. So Lincolnville to Telstar and back.
Wow, that's far.
Yeah.
So
She's
we
crazy.
could get something at another meeting instead.
Yeah, I'll just ask her to
That'd be
give us a short written update at some point. But yeah, so that covers
We appreciate what she does.
staff.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have boards, committee, and commissions. We have minutes from the cemetery committee and the planning board. Thank you very much for submitting those. And I would see if there's any members of the public that would like to address the board. Seeing nothing. Okay. Next, we'll move on to appointments. 26096, consider the appointment of Marilyn Palmer as warden for the June 9th, 2026 town meeting.
I'll make a motion to appoint Marilyn Palmer as the warden of the June 9th, 2026 primary election.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Marilyn, for volunteering. Okay, next item, which Catherine teased us about 35 minutes ago.
Oh no, the teaser is the transfer station.
Oh, bummer.
This is the one I'm excited about.
26-097, discuss a draft proposal from Winthrop Ambulance Service. Eric, I'm guessing that means you. There's a lot of detail in that report.
There is a tremendous amount of detail, and
Cliff
it
notes.
was more than I was expecting. We made the request repeatedly, and we really emphasized it. We had some communication with the group. Catherine helped with that. And they took our request seriously, which I very much appreciate. And the level of detail and information that they were able to provide, they had highlighted things that they wanted to check with our group about, because we do have an informal kind of advisory group that we have been trying to work with to make progress. And all I seemed to do with them was find ways for them to give us a larger bill, like with the capital campaign. The capital funding model. But ultimately, they came around and said, well, okay, we'll look at the numbers. And when they looked at the numbers, it was pretty stark, the difference in service levels between the center area of Winthrop and maybe the first little bit of Manchester, a little bit of Readfield, a little bit of Monmouth, and then everybody else. And the concentric circles of service that went out, levels dropped pretty quickly. The lakes do play a part in that, so some of it's geography. But in the end, they found that they still had substantial parts of their population that were not being served as well as they could be. And then when they looked at what it would do if they put a vehicle in Readfield, it brought everybody, less just a few households, back within tolerance, back within what is considered a good service response time for an ambulance. So there's a lot of value here operationally, which we told them over and over again, and they finally saw it. And one of the things that I had expressed to them was that that there's value in this because it helps by adding equipment to your inventory that's being used on a regular basis. The maintenance, you might have usage costs, but you don't have like mothball costs. They're going to be seeing more staff, and that's a good thing, because then if someone calls out, they've got a deeper pool to pull from. It'll help with recruitment because they'll have more more availability for shifts. So there's lots of benefits, and they would benefit from this as well. Under the financial model that we have, basically says that we take the cost of the organization and we break it up based on population and call volume. And right now that's 50-50, and I don't like that, especially because call volume really makes a big difference. And Monmouth and Winthrop are huge consumers of this service, and we're there kind of on the outside, just kind of filling in. But regardless, the way the formula works, Winthrop would have to pay in as well towards this new service. It was over $300,000 to add the staff, and it's only part-time. It would only be one shift instead of two, but that 12-hour shift covers the majority of when our incidents occur, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it would be year-round, so that would really meet some needs. The good thing is that that cost will be borne by all the towns, and so Winthrop has been continuing to charge us more. It's not a clawback, but they would be then having to pay in an additional $90,000 plus in order to get this service up and running, this third truck. And Readfield will be on the hook for 30 or so. Other towns would be on for lower amounts. It's all in the report. But the bottom line is shared cost, dramatically better service and response times for our community and for the ones that are further out. And there seems to be some energy behind doing this. Winthrop Council hasn't considered it yet, but the schedule right now that we're working on is trying to get something figured out in July with our next meeting, and then having Winthrop Council review and our other communities that are involved with this review and tentatively approve something like this. The good news and the bad news is Winthrop can charge whatever they want. So if Winthrop says we're adding a truck to Readfield, everybody has to pay for it, or they have to leave the service. But no, everybody is excited about this. People weren't excited about paying more and getting the same service, but now they're paying more potentially and getting much better service. So it would be another increase for us. It would put us, another $30,000 after a $50,000 increase this year. But at this point, I'm feeling that we're in for a penny, in for a pound, and I don't think we've ever objected to paying our fair share to get good service, but we're paying our fair share and not getting that. So I think this responds to a lot of needs. We've got some questions that still need to be answered, but really, I just wanted the board to be aware of this, the public to be aware of this, that we've been pushing on this for a year and we finally got somewhere, or more than a year, 2 years probably now. And we have an opportunity. So Lee, Mank, and I are attending these meetings regularly. We're not going to let up. And I'm looking for any direction from the board on how you'd like us to pursue or engage with Winthrop and the other towns on this.
I have a few comments. So I would recommend that we put this proposal as it is here right up onto the website, so that, and maybe even send out an e-alert to let people know that there's a possible change to our ambulance service. I think you'll find that you get response from the public, because I think people would prefer to have a much better service than we currently have in terms of response time. It's $18 to $23 per resident per year. So I know it doesn't come out that way in your tax bill, but apportioning it for the population of the 7 towns, that's really pretty inexpensive when you consider the benefit. And one of those, let's see, I think it's on page 35. Oh, shoot. Takes the zone 4 time, which is the 20-minute plus response time, and decreases it to, I think it's 575 people, down from over 1,500 currently that have to wait that long for a call. When you're talking about life-saving issues, or even just people suffering great pain from like a compound fracture or a car crash, having a 5-minute response time versus 20 minutes is tremendous. And I think that's absolutely worth paying for. It's just what we've been asking for, which is to get the response times better. We've had people on the budget committee asking about this, people who have had to wait in their homes for a long time for a response. And another thing you didn't mention was having 3 ambulances will reduce our mutual aid reliance.
True. Yep.
Because right now, if 2 ambulances go out on calls, there are only 2 vehicles. So now you need to call mutual aid in. Now, I wasn't clear if they actually call them in and they come and cover in the station, or if they're just the responding call, which they listed the response times, but they're really long compared to the 0 to 10-minute response. And so we would have a 3rd vehicle. So we wouldn't have to have that reliance. And we've been a net taker of mutual aid. We rarely are able to give mutual aid to other communities, which doesn't help the whole overall situation. I thought the report was excellent, and I should probably let the town manager know, since I sent my misguided email. This is just what we were asking for, though, and I was very clear in that, Readfield has always been happy with the service that we get, but we're not happy with the service we get for the price we pay comparatively, and this report absolutely shows that that has been happening, that we are on the far end. And I was really surprised that it was Wayne included with the Readfield station. So Readfield would respond to Wayne, Mount Vernon, Fayette, and Readfield. So that actually, I mean, that's good for Winthrop, Monmouth, and Manchester, because they won't have anybody coming out this way when they need them going their way.
Other than Readfield South, which that
Right.
would still be part of it for them.
So I think it's a win-win for everybody. Are you thinking that
Absolutely.
is going to take until next fiscal year, or will this happen, if all the towns agree, will this happen when we agree?
So what I told the group and Anthony specifically was that I don't want this to be something that we finalize in February or March. This is something that I want to have an assurance and a confirmation and an agreement, even interlocal agreement, whatever we have to do to get this so that it's final by the time we start our budget process. Because I expressed and he understood that we have not had the time or the ability to really respond to the proposals that have been coming at us in a timely fashion. And so I expect, and my goal is to push so that we have something, I'd say at the latest, in place, in writing by the end of December. That's my goal. And then all we have to do is find a way to pay for it.
So by the end of December, does that mean it would be effective then?
It means that we would have an agreement in place for July 1 of the following year, because we still have to go through and fund all of this. And that's one of the rubs. We could talk about the possibility of trying to expedite it, but Anthony and others felt that the idea of doing this over the course of the next, year to get all the way through to next July with the formatting and the final research and the fine tuning of it happening in the next few months, getting the policy document in place by the end of the year, and then working through the budget process with our communities to fund for July 1 start made the most sense. So, but I can certainly push for a faster time frame.
Well, like you said, if they issue us a bill, we have to pay it. I'm not saying we have the money to pay it. Well, obviously Readfield has the money to pay it because we're financially responsible and we have extra money.
I mean, reality, they're not gonna staff this that fast.
Right, it's gonna
So
take them at least 6 months.
Yeah, so I mean, I think for me, the timeline makes sense. I mean, I'd love it sooner, but I think it makes sense to have a proactive goal for
So if
the
we
next
do
fiscal year.
agree to terms on this, in the future, is there a set formula? And do we have a seat at the table? Or can Winthrop just decide next year they want 50,000 more?
Well, I think that's gonna be the important part of this interlocal agreement, that it's not gonna then just be tea leaves look like this year.
Right.
Yeah, I think we need to make sure that that's contractual language of.
So we
this
do have a
promotion.
formula. The formula has changed.
Yeah,
And we have as a 1-year agreement. So yes, we do pay Winthrop's bill, but there are some parameters, there are some safeguards for us in that contract. But one of the things you hit on it right on the head, Dave, is that we don't have any kind of formal interlocal agreement. And so that's one of the things also that we are going to be talking about in July is putting the possibility of putting that together to guarantee us a seat at the table, to guarantee a formula. And I don't know if they're going to bite on that or not, but I'm going to push to get as close as we can to that, because right now we are just customers and we can leave. The trouble is that we're having a hard time finding alternative services, and that's one reason why I'm really happy this came through, because I was not sure what we were going to do. We haven't really had much success with North Star. It's hot or cold with them, and there's nobody really else out there right now.
So we are on a 1-year contract currently.
We are through June 30.
Would it give us any more bargaining power if we had a 3-year contract or a 5-year,
Yeah.
similar to what we do with the transfer station?
It would, and if it was evergreen, and those were things that we also proposed for our July meeting to talk about, is what can we do to make this so that we're not looking around and trying to find a different ambulance service every year when Winthrop arbitrarily raises the price or does whatever.
I mean, Winthrop, in my opinion, being smart by offering the towns that could leave an ambulance. I mean, I think it makes sense that to keep us, they have to realize that people want better service, so.
Yeah, and I agree, and I've expressed that, and Anthony's not keen on hearing that or having that presented to the board, but right now they're in a business and a consumer type model where we're just a customer, And so if they want to have more stability and not want to have to worry about us leaving, they need to do something to treat us right. And I think that's part of the trade-off. So you're right to mention that, Sean, and we're aware of that with Lee and I both fully aware of that.
Do you need something from us for direction? Is it helpful if this board supports the proposal thus far?
Absolutely. I mean, to a motion supporting continued discussion and an aggressive timeline and the idea of funding this third ambulance through this model, that's a great road, a great motion. Yeah.
Go ahead.
However you want to put it.
You wanna do it, Dave?
I'll give it a shot. Make a motion to direct the town manager to continue talks on this interlocal agreement, should I put it? Potential
Yep.
interlocal agreement
Yeah.
Yep.
for ambulance service. Anything else I should add to that? Or
Put this
Okay.
in,
with a timeline? That work?
I'll second it, and then I'll amend it.
Yeah, right.
So I'd like to amend it to include a timeline of a finalized written proposal by the end of this current year, and the potential for all the towns to have a seat at the table for the budgeting formula.
Second, on the amendment.
I have a motion, a second, and an amendment in a second. Any further discussion?
It's not that bad.
Yes and yes.
All those in favor? That's unanimous. Angelica, I can't wait to see the notes.
Now we have to vote on the motion. That was
No, I think we're just gonna, we're good.
you have to have two votes. You had an amendment and a motion.
Okay, all those in favor of the amendment?
No, that was the amendment.
All those in favor of the motion
As amended.
as amended?
Got it.
Perfect, great.
Got it.
Could you please raise your hand for that one? Thank you. Okay, item 26098, discuss the possibility of Mount Vernon joining the Readfield transfer station.
So I'm gonna let Catherine get started on that one.
I saw this on Facebook
I'm
first.
gonna
so
run down.
that's-
Oh, yeah.
Did you
well,
really?
So did everybody,
Oh.
and that's why I wanted to bring it up as
Yeah.
quickly as possible.
So what's the scuttlebutt? Good
Oh.
or bad?
I don't listen. I don't read it. I just see like, is this happening? I don't scroll.
So anyway, I was gonna run downstairs and grab the appointment for you guys to sign, along
Okay.
with the final signature page for the town meeting warrant.
I'll start.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
So let's see, just a little bit of background. So Mount Vernon got a huge bump in their state valuation this year, which is hitting them hard with anything that's based on that, such as the school district. And the potential with this is for them to spend $100,000 less. It's just over half of their budget is what they would spend here compared to what they have now. They currently have 8 hours of service a week, compared to I think it's like 28, because then we also have the Thursday time that the public doesn't use. So our station's open more, but not to the public, it's to the contractors. They had already asked Eric and about doing this, and then they had 2 of their 3 people resign and leave the transfer station. So they are without employees now, except for 1 part-time person. So they're in some dire straits right at the moment. So that may be part of what you might be hearing out there in the community. So they are up against having to replace equipment at this time. And they don't have a whole lot, I don't think they have a whole lot of bargaining power with their contracts for transportation and for tipping. And so their expenses are really large. And this service is tough for people because it's only open Saturdays and Sundays from 8 to 1. And they were just trying to make it 8 to 3 on one of those 2 days. I guess, and in the summer, they open on Wednesdays for either 1 or 2 hours. And they're a town of, I think, about 1,800, and Readfield is a town of about 2,500. Nayad and Wayne are smaller. And so we talked about this at the meeting, and all three towns currently in our transfer station, which are Fayette, Wayne, and Readfield, were all excited about this and would like to see this happen if that's what Mount Vernon chooses to do. Everybody sees this as a win-win for everyone. I think there were three things that I raised as considerations. One is the transfer of the full can. Another is the time that people spend waiting to access a parking spot to get rid of their waste. What's the third one? I can't remember now. So right now, when we changed over from Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, we were getting really good service in terms of the transportation to get rid of a full can. Now that we're Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the cans are filling up quickly because it's 3 days in a row with no time to transfer or pull out a can. So we're sending off cans before they're full, which doesn't change the amount we charge to get rid of the waste, or we are charged to get rid of the waste. It changes the transportation. So if you're hauling a 2,000 pound can instead of an 8,000 pound can, you're paying the same amount to haul it, but you're only getting a quarter of the benefit. So that has increased our cost by being open on Sundays instead of Wednesdays. So, or was it Tuesdays we were open? It was instead of Tuesday. We swapped Tuesday for Sunday, right? The problem is that the shipping company doesn't want to come, the transportation people, later in the day on Fridays because, of course, it's Friday afternoon and they don't want to be home. I mean, they don't want to be at work. So they don't work on weekends, which is interesting when municipalities are mostly open at transfer stations on Thursdays and Fridays. So if we could move our own cans, Eric's suggestion was that we could trade in our current backhoe for a larger version that could move the cans around because they're on rollers. Then we wouldn't be having to ship cans that aren't full ahead of time because we'd have an extra can sitting there. So this would allow for more waste to come in from, say, Mount Vernon being there. And we already have backhoe operators who know how to do this, right? I mean,
We do, and we were looking at other options as well. One option was to get a non-roadworthy hauling truck that we can use to haul, move it 50 feet and then bring it back. Also, with some work to our concrete pad, we could, Dave, you're probably familiar with this, that they have some really good quality equipment, moving dollies and trucks that you can use, even the battery powered fork things that will actually go up and lift up and move one of these cans, even fully loaded, 24,000 pounds, potentially. And so there's a different types of equipment that could meet this purpose. If we need it, there's also a chance that we might be able to, use that extra capacity we have in the can to absorb some of the stuff coming in from Mount Vernon. But that's all the fine-tune, review that we need to do to make sure that we can operationally handle this stuff, and that the cost of the value is there. And I think that from the looks of it, even if we had to change our equipment or do some improvements to our facility, A, it would help us all year round, and B, it's possible. And I think it's possible at a cost that makes it worthwhile for us, which then leads to the only other questions that are outstanding, really. I think the third one you had was on commercial haulers, and they only have one. But the other question is just flow, and what does it look like in July? And are we willing to tolerate longer lines?
That's really what I've been thinking. Like,
Yeah.
anytime I go, it's not. You don't drive in and drive out. That's for sure.
well, Karen said they've had a lot better distribution now that Sundays are a thing. A lot of people have changed from Saturdays to Sundays. They're seeing the numbers shift. It's only been going, since October that we made this shift. So we'll have a good time to see that this summer. We would hire another full-time transfer station attendant. So
That was
we'd
my
be
other-
able
was
to
my other-
move people through. I mean, operationally, there'll have to be a few changes, right? But that is a key factor. People can't have to wait for 20 cars in front of you. We don't want that with the 3 towns, so we certainly don't want it with 4 towns. The net cost savings is about 11,000 for Readfield per year, and about the same for Fayette and for Wayne by bringing Mount Vernon in. So it's a net decrease to cost for us. What's our total
Does
budget, Eric?
Is that taken into consideration, the potential of opening an extra day or hiring another employee, the
It has
11,000?
the other person in there, right? I don't,
It's got a 35% increase in labor. So I didn't want to peg it and say, well, it's got to be a first full-time or got to be a part-time. But what I did was looked at their tonnages and, or maybe it was 20%, but I tried to factor everything. Again, this is a first pass to just see if it was even remotely feasible.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. We want to look very closely at those numbers.
$10,000 with how your staffing has been, doesn't seem like a savings. I'm just gonna say that for hiring, onboarding, and the time that you've put in to turnover at the transfer station, $10,000 is absolutely zero savings.
well, it's 10,000 for each town, so it's a 30,000.
I don't care about other towns saving money. I care about this town saving money. And for us, $10,000 is not a savings with how much work it costs Eric if there's one other problem for staff turnover. That's all I think.
Well, if we had a full-time person instead of several part-time, that would actually be less issues. But you're right, it's things we have to consider.
Yes.
So the idea is, and Eric raised this as an interesting question, would we want to consider this on the November ballot rather than the June ballot? Because, well, there's a perceived need. That's not the main consideration. Do you really want to start a new process at the height of summer on July 1st? Or would it be better to start this in December or January when things are slower? You don't have all your summer residents in all of your towns. So operationally, it may make sense to consider doing it sooner than later. So I think what the Solid Waste Committee asked for was for Eric to meet with a representative from each of the 3 towns and from Mount Vernon and see if Mount Vernon is actually interested, because they hadn't seen this until our meeting.
I think it would be hard to put all the details in place within 30 days to try that, though. I mean,
Personally, I
think we
have
would be.
a lot of questions. And
Right, and that's
I
what
mean,
I'm saying, to get that done.
I think there's a lot of good idea and a lot of work happened so far in this, but I feel like there's a lot of we could do.
Oh yeah, this is a first pass only. I mean, one of the first things we need to do is take the numbers for monthly tonnage totals that we get from Mount Vernon and see how does that fit with our model. And ask them a lot of questions. So this is just a first pass. I mean, mostly what I was looking from the board was, is this worth looking further into or not? You know, again, the model does show a savings, but it shows the savings after we've accounted for, you know, 20% more staff, 35% more on supplies and tonnage related costs. So it's just a rough cut to see, you know, would it be net revenue positive or neutral, or negative? And it looks to be that it's neutral to positive. I'll put it that way.
Well, if it was negative, we wouldn't propose it.
If it was negative, it wouldn't even come forward.
So the cost to them for joining has to make it neutral or positive
For us.
for all 3 towns.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, because it is an interlocal agreement
Right.
that we get to make the decisions on, but responsibly, you have to do it to the benefit of the current group.
So I guess what I would like to do is to just try to refine this a little bit more, have some more discussions. I mean, and you know, it would be several months before we'd be able to get something together, and you know, the time frame really could be anything from 2 months to 12 months. It doesn't have to be tied to any particular cycle, but I think it would be good to have a goal and to understand this as fully as we can. So before we make a decision, we have to understand it better if you want to even pursue that. So that's really the question.
Well, I think anything's worth discussing, but I think there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hidden
There's
costs
18.
that's not face value. Would there be a potential if, say, this all looked like it might work to do a short-term contract on estimated costs and say, let's try this for 6 months?
I think
If
that's
it
a real
doesn't work for
possibility.
anybody.
Yeah.
And
Yep. That's a great idea.
instead of getting into an agreement that we go, oh boy, we shouldn't have done that.
So
So at the
I-
end of 6 months or a year, everybody has the opportunity to say, this isn't working.
Well, that's the same
Let's
thing
not
that
do
was
that.
presented in the ambulance thing, was to review it for, at the end of 12 months and see if the assumptions actually were correct. And if they weren't, then we might not do it anymore.
No, I think that's a good idea, Dave. And one of the suggestions I had was to talk to our town attorney about whether or not the select board could authorize a short-term trial period. Because technically, any interlocal agreement needs to get full voter approval. So going through full voter approval for a 12-month trial is, you know, but if the select boards of those 3 towns could authorize a trial, that might be a good option for us. So I do plan on, again, if you give me the go ahead, pursuing that with this group and see if there's a way for us to do that.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to pursue further consideration of the transfer station accepting Mount Vernon as a partner, including a trial basis time period.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Angelica, when's the, oh, sorry. May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
When's the next time you're going to be at our meeting? I know we're having our meeting on the 20th, and then we meet again on
June 8th.
June 8th. Okay. Sorry with everybody if I arrange for cake for the June 8th meeting for Angelica.
For Dave's last meeting.
Yeah, could be.
No, it's not. Okay. So there. I'm gonna put it in my calendar. Cake, get cake. Thank you.
Any future items for agenda items anyone would like to add? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much.